Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. This is going to be a video for the hometown crowd, but there are many of you in other states that are probably stuck in this exact same predicament. As you know, yesterday we did this video right here, which was about the oral arguments that took place before the Washington State Supreme Court as it relates to our magazine ban in the case of State of Washington versus Gators Guns. Now, for those of you who geeked out on that video, you will know that I was not super thrilled with the questions that came from the bench. I was far less than thrilled with the arguments that came from the Attorney General's office, and I wasn't necessarily a big fan of the arguments that had come from those defending Gators Guns. That being said, listen, I think a lot of that was an exercise in futility, and I think there's really only one way that we're ever going to win this case, but it can be done. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about this is how Washington State will overturn its magazine ban. Okay, hey, listen, before we get going too far down the road we're going down, let's remember that this video is being brought to us by the Sonoran Desert Institute. That's right, get ready to launch your career in the firearm industry today through what? That's right, education. Get ready to start arming yourself today with education, and most importantly, get ready to start defending the inalienable rights of millions of Americans nationwide, all through our most powerful act, which of course is education. The Sonoran Desert Institute has a program, a degree, or a certificate for just about anything that you may desire. So for more information, check them out in the description box below, or easier yet, just visit them at sdi.edu. Okay, Washington, we are talking about our magazine ban here in the case of State of Washington versus Gators Guns. But what we're really going to be talking about is a magazine ban that was passed a couple of years prior to ours, all the way on the other side of the country in the state of Rhode Island, because we're also going to talk about the case of Ocean State Tactical versus Rhode Island. Why are we going to talk about that case? Well, for those of you who regularly geek out here at Washington Gun Law, one, thank you very much. And number two, you will know that we have been very carefully tracking that case because it is sitting on petition for review from the United States Supreme Court. And actually, we've been very carefully following this case, Snope v. Brown, because that deals with an assault weapon ban out of Maryland, which there is a possibility that both of those cases could in fact be consolidated and then set for oral argument before the United States Supreme Court. Now, do I have any confidence in the Washington State Supreme Court overturning Washington's magazine ban? I have zero confidence in that. I have absolute zero confidence at all. And certainly when you listen to the questions that they were asking yesterday under the state constitution, Article 1, Section 24 of the Washington State Constitution, I think we have about a snowball's chance in hell of prevailing there. There's a possibility that we could at least receive one vote in our favor as it relates to Second Amendment claims. And that's a really important thing. And I want all of you to understand that even though I may have not been particularly thrilled with the oral arguments that occurred yesterday, the Silent Majority Foundation did a very, very smart thing, and that is challenge this law under both the state constitution as well as the federal constitution. Why is that smart? Well, because the Supreme Court's going to have to rule on both of those issues. And what's going to happen is they're going to shoot it down under both constitutional provisions. But that case will then be in a final posture. And that would allow Gators Guns at that point to petition directly to the United States Supreme Court. But here's what also could happen in the meantime. What could happen in the meantime is early as this weekend, the United States Supreme Court could say, hey, you know what? We're going to accept the Ocean State Tactical case. We're going to put that onto our calendar, and we're going to hear all arguments and make a ruling on it. And I have a lot of confidence in the United States Supreme Court to follow applicable case law. So, if the United States Supreme Court decides to accept Ocean State Tactical, I predict that the Silent Majority Foundation and the attorneys representing Gators Guns will probably file a motion for a stay of the ruling from the Washington State Supreme Court and just let the United States Supreme Court weigh in on it first. And if I was a member of the Washington State Supreme Court and I don't have to wade out into those political hot waters and I can just let the United States Supreme Court take care of it, well, I'm probably going to be a big fan of that. So, Washington, you want to know how you're going to get your magazine ban overturned? You're going to get your magazine ban overturned because of the Ocean State Tactical case out of Rhode Island. Now, some of you may be asking, well, wait a second, how similar is Rhode Island's law to Washington's law? Well, in a general sense, it doesn't need to be that similar. If we are banning magazines, which are in common use for lawful purposes, it doesn't really matter beyond that what the semantics of the law are. However, I did manage to go ahead and pull up law so we could geek out on it. And it is similar to Washington's law in some respects, and in other respects, it's actually far worse. Because at least here in Washington state, we were provided a grandfathering clause, which means all the magazines that we possessed that held more than 10 rounds prior to the enactment of law, we still get to possess. My everyday carry is either 17 rounds or 12 rounds. I can assure you I am carrying 17 plus 1 or 12 plus 1 anytime I am carrying. There is nothing unlawful about that activity. Rhode Island General Law Section 11-47.1-3 is Rhode Island's magazine ban, and it reads as follows. No person, except for a federally licensed firearm dealer, shall manufacture, sell, offer to sell, transfer, purchase, possess, or have under his or her control a large capacity feeding device, except as otherwise authorized in this chapter. Any person convicted of violating the provisions of this section shall be punished by imprisonment of not more than 5 years or by a fine of up to $5,000, and the large capacity feeding device shall be subject to forfeiture. And the only grandfathering clause that the state of Rhode Island had is hey, when the law goes into effect, you can modify your magazine so it only holds 10 rounds, or you can surrender or destroy it. So there's another argument here in Rhode Island as to whether or not this constitutes an unconstitutional takings as well. But the core issue, can a state ban feeding devices and magazines which are in common use for lawful purposes is the core question, and that would apply to the Rhode Island magazine ban as it would to the Washington, as it would to California's, as it would to any other state like Illinois, who recently passed one as well. It would apply to every single one of those states. So Washington, which you need to carefully look out for, is what's going to occur on January 17th. Friday, January 17th, both the Ocean State tactical case as well as Snope v. Brown, the assault weapon ban case, are back before the Supreme Court for conference. We likely, by Monday morning, the 20th of January, are going to have word as to whether or not those cases have been accepted. We're going to be down at SHOT Show, but if it happens, we will let you know right away. We're going to go ahead and link up State of Washington versus Gators Guns down below so you can geek out on it. We're going to also go ahead and link up the docket for the Ocean State tactical case so you can geek out and carefully watch that. If you got any other questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, which in Washington right now is not much, you should know how to get all the Washington gun law by now, but if you don't, that's okay. That information is down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, all you got to do is click on that link right there and tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, the ability to do all of that is down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.